And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? I am so excited because this is one more day that I have my special guest host, my genius grandson, Joey. Joey, are you set for another show?
Not tomorrow. I will not be here tomorrow.
No. Today, Joe.
Oh, today. Yes.
Listen, today, Joe.
Today, but I will not be here tomorrow.
Yes, I know. You know why? You're going to be getting all wet.
I'm going to a water park.
You're going to a water park, absolutely. Well, on today's show, Joe, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and then we're going to be continuing our new segment of the tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey in the rest of the story. My special guest today, actually he's not really a guest anymore, he's a regular on the show, is Sean Lefebvre, and Sean's going to be talking to us from Wichita, Kansas, where he's going to be for the next 2-3 months or so, and he's going to be talking about the effect of lead on the body. So that, he sent me a 22-page report on that I skimmed over the other day, and so we're going to go over that today. We'll see what happens with that. And let's see, we're also going to, at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 103 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, let's talk about the news. We've encapsulated it, broke it down, so we can talk to you about the 10 things that you need to know about, that you can talk to your friends about. And these are the 10 things that you need to know for Thursday. Your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that are going to be talked about all day today and probably tomorrow, too. Cruz angers the GOP faithful. Boos fill the convention hall as the one-time presidential candidate finishes his primetime speech without endorsing Trump. And Trump aide takes blame for cribbing material. A staff writer at Trump's business says she was the one who lifted several phrases from Michelle Obama that wound up in Melania Trump's speech to the GOP convention. In Louisiana, gunman left behind a manifesto. The man who ambushed and killed 3 law enforcement officers in Baton Rouge described his rampage in the handwritten document as a necessary evil. Well, Turkey is closing hundreds of schools. The continuing crackdown on perceived enemies following a failed coup spurs fears that the Erdogan government is throwing key institutions into disarray. Well, expected defeat of Islamic State group raises questions. Defense leaders meeting in Washington express concerns about whether the rest of the world is ready to help rebuild war-torn cities like Mosul in Iraq and Raqqa in Syria. And who's still in the holding pattern? Well, 5 years after Atlantis completed the space shuttle program's final voyage, NASA remains at least a year away from launching its astronauts from U.S. soil. And world's largest beer maker is getting even larger. Anheuser-Busch InBev reaches an agreement with Justice Department that clears the way for U.S. approval of its merger with Sab Miller. And which other big convention is being held this week? Well, hordes of zombies, legions of stormtroopers, and leagues of superheroes gather in San Diego for the pop culture celebration Comic-Con. Joe, you've heard of that, right?
Yeah, I have. I've never actually been. I'd like to, just to see what it's all about. But I think that some of the stuff they do over there is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, and I used to have a producer when I was doing the television show who did Comic-Con every year, and it was just really pretty amazing thing. They'll probably have some of that stuff on the news, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably. They announce all kinds of different stuff over there, media related.
Yeah. Now, is it all horror type stuff? Do you know?
Oh no, not even. There are horror conventions, but this is not one of them.
Because they're talking about zombies, and they're talking about, Ghostbusters, and they're talking about all that kind of stuff here.
Well, zombies I think have come out of the realm of horror and into the realm of mainstream at this point. I mean, zombies are less portrayed as a scary thing now than something that's just, it's a zombie.
Well, this next one kind of goes right along with that, and that's the next item in the news deal. Ghostbusters star latest celeb to abandon Twitter. Leslie Jones drops off the social network after becoming the target of a torrent of racist and sexist comments. You know who that is?
Yeah, I do. She's one of the new Ghostbusters.
That actually is one of the Ghostbusters, because now instead of it being guys, it's girls, isn't it?
Yeah, they switched it. And she plays one of them. I don't know the names of the characters. Yeah. I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan, but she's in the trailers, and I have heard of her Twitter dispute, and I've seen a couple of videos about it. I just really think that
she shouldn't be wearing her feelings on her shoulders. If she's going to get on Twitter and she's going to be a celebrity, she ought to expect both good and bad on Twitter.
Well, I haven't heard too much about it to know like exactly what they said or anything, whether it was super extreme or that type of thing. But if it's bad enough to make somebody leave Twitter, I think that that it is an issue. I don't think that she's wearing her feelings on her shoulders. Maybe, I don't know a lot about this issue, but I have heard of it.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know the answer, and maybe you do. Let's just assume for a minute, because I've got over 3,000 people on Twitter, or about that somewhere, and they're following me. And if I just give up my Twitter account, do those people does that just mean that they're no longer going to talk about me, or that I'm just not going to know about it?
You're just not going to know about it.
So what good does it do her to do that? None. Really?
I just think the people who are big celebrities that leave Twitter subscribe to the philosophy that in that case ignorance is bliss. Like if I were a celebrity or any person, it is really hard to get hate on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, of course, but they can't all be hate. But I'm just thinking that, let's just say that it's Tom Hanks, for instance. He may or may not be on Twitter. I don't know. But let's just say it's him. Well, he knows so many people, and so many celebrities today are on Twitter. Don't you think that one day he'll be walking into dinner with his lovely wife, and somebody will say, "Hey, Tom, did you see what they said about you on Twitter tonight?"
I think so, but I think that it would be disappointing if you had people who don't necessarily like you, and every time they say something, your phone buzzes and you get told what they said, rather than the occasional gossip.
So you have some peace of mind, right?
Yeah. So your life isn't just constant.
Yeah.
Because these huge celebrities, they get bombarded with this stuff.
I hear you. Well, why gold medal is a misnomer. The medals given to Olympic champions are actually silver with a tiny amount of gold plating on them. So that's what's going on with that. Now, we didn't get into any of the in-depth news. When we come back, we will. We'll start off with it's Trump's big night before the nation and GOP skeptics. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages with my co-host, my genius grandson, Joey. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And welcome back to Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. Actually, I think the commercial just said that. But we're in the news, in-depth news. What is our first story today?
Well, our first story today, Joey, is it's Trump's big night before the nation and GOP skeptics. Donald Trump takes the final night stage at his Republican convention, facing a daunting array of challenges, many of his own making. At the top of the list, unifying a fractured party and quieting Americans' concerns about his preparedness for the presidency. Overseas, U.S. allies are as well as voters at home, will be closely watching his Thursday night address, which comes the day after his suggestion that he might not defend America's NATO partners as president. His comments only added to the chaotic nature of Trump's nominating event, which has been consumed by a plagiarism charge, unusually harsh criticism of Democrat Hillary Clinton, and Texas Senator Ted Cruz's dramatic refusal to endorse the GOP nominee from the convention stage. Trump's wife, Melania, foreshadowed it all on opening night, noting it would not be a Trump contest without excitement and drama. Boy, that's an absolute fact. Let's talk about, let's see what else we got going on here tonight. Let's see. All of a sudden, my news headlines are jumping around. And you know what? Isles, I should say, is out as Fox News head. Murdoch named acting chief. Roger Ailes is out as chief executive at Fox News Channel. His career at the network he built from scratch and ran with an iron hand for nearly 20 years over with stunning swiftness, following allegations that he forced out a former anchor after she spurned his sexual advances. Network parent 21st Century Fox said that Rupert Murdoch, the company's executive chairman, would run Fox News and its sister Fox Business Network, which Ailes had also led until a successor could be found. Murdoch, the 21st Century Fox, did not address the widening scandal in the statement on resignation, but lauded Ailes for his contributions. Ailes did not comment in the statement, and no details were given on a settlement agreement. You know what? It's kind of sick. These guys get that kind of stuff going on. But here's a timeline of events leading to Roger Ailes' resignation. Here are the key events leading up to his resignation from Fox News Channel. The cable news juggernaut that he built from scratch 2 decades ago. On June 23rd, Fox News Channel anchor and former Fox and Friends co-host Gretchen Carlson is quietly let go after 11 years with the network upon expiration of her contract. July 6th, Carlson sues network chief executive Roger Ailes, claiming she was cut loose after she refused his sexual advances and complained about harassment in the workplace. Though the complaint is filed against Ailes, she also cites her former Fox and Friends colleague Steve Ducey for alleged sexual harassment. Ailes, in a statement, denies the allegations and accuses Carlson of filing the lawsuit in retaliation for her contract not being renewed. Ducey doesn't respond. Parent company 21st Century Fox, while stating that we have full confidence in Mr. Ailes and Mr. Ducey, it is launching an internal review. And then on July 9th, New York Magazine publishes allegations of sexual misconduct by Ailes from 6 other women, to whom 2 of whom speak on the record. Veteran Fox News Channel host Neil Cavuto publishes a defense of Ailes in the Business Insider website, describing the accusations against him as sick. Cavuto joins a number of female Fox News on-air personalities, including Martha McCallum, Sandra Smith, Greta Van Susteren, and Maria Berteramo, who publicly pushed back against Carlson's allegations. You know what? It just goes on and on. I could go on, but I'm not going to take up all my news with this guy. It's not worth it. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, you know what? There is shock and condemnation after Trump questioned the NATO comments. You know, an alarm and condemnation erupted Thursday from European capitals, the White House, and leaders of Donald Trump's own party after the Republican presidential nominee suggested the United States might abandon his NATO military commitments if he were elected president. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who backed Trump at the party's national convention only 2 days earlier, said he totally disagreed with the statement, but was willing to chalk it up to a rookie mistake. McConnell called NATO the most successful military alliance in the history of the world in a Facebook interview with the New York Times. In Brussels, NATO Secretary General John Stoltenberg said that the alliance agreement was crystal clear. We defend each other. Well, you know what? I didn't hear Trump say that, but what a shock to have that actually go on. I find it difficult. Well, here's the latest our best one-day fundraising haul for Trump campaign. Republican National Convention, Donald Trump's campaign says it raised $3.5 million via online fundraising just on Wednesday. That's a single-day record for the campaign. The campaign is crediting Trump's new running mate, Indiana Governor Mike Pence, for driving the contributions. Pence delivered the keynote speech at the Republican National Convention on Wednesday night. Trump got off to a late start fundraising after largely self-funding his primary campaign. Well, you know what? It's about time they start raising some money because they're going to surely need it. Hillary Clinton's got millions sitting out there ready to go. Well, let me leave you with this. Cruz defiant as the GOP slams him on Trump non-endorsement. A defiant Senator Ted Cruz declared today he's no servile puppy dog as he faced a torrent of GOP criticism over his refusal to endorse Donald Trump on the Republican National Convention stage. Irate convention delegates predicted Cruz had committed political suicide by accepting a primetime speaking slot Wednesday, only to urge Republicans to vote your conscience, not vote for the nominee. Although the Texas senator had not been expected to offer an effusive endorsement of his primary foe, many GOP delegates had hoped and expected to hear some expression of support as they struggle to unite their party to defeat Democrat Hillary Clinton this fall. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be doing the IRS loses. The first case is minimal discrepancy does not justify the refusal of an installment agreement. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his this show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry and a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And welcome back to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. We're at our daily segment, The IRS Loses. So our first case is minimal discrepancy does not justify refusal of installment. I'll have our host, Robert Cardoza, tell us more.
And here we go. Omar Pineda. Let me get this here. Here we go. Omar Pineda owned a small business and fell behind on his taxes. When the IRS moved to levy on his assets, he requested an installment agreement, and an IRS appeals officer required him to file a full statement of business and personal finances to prove that he was compliant with the law and eligible for one. Then found a $175 discrepancy between this accounting and Pineda's tax return, and rejected the agreement because it had $175. This is what the tax court said. The $175 was what they call de minimis, which is ridiculously small. And at trial, the appeals officer couldn't even say what information he wanted to fix the error. So the IRS had abused its discretion in not considering the agreement. And so Mr. Pineda got his installment agreement. Well, next case is the IRS loses. Hiring a spouse makes medical costs tax-free. And this is actually something that you can still be doing today. Maureen Speltz operated a licensed daycare center in her home as a proprietorship. Now, her husband, Peter, worked full-time as a machinist from 6 a.m. to 2:15 p.m., then came home and assisted her in the center. She hired him as an employee, giving him an employment contract that included medical benefits. She deducted the benefits she paid to him and took them tax-free. But the IRS objected that the arrangement was a sham. They went to court for some justice. So the judge said, Maureen had a real business. The employment contract terms were reasonable. Peter lived up to them, doing real work that was documented, and the benefit plan met written requirements. So the tax-free benefits were absolutely proper. Well, let's give you one more. The IRS loses. An erroneous private ruling can be relied upon. In 1981, a company obtained IRS approval of its method of computing deductible contributions to its qualified retirement plan in an IRS technical advice memorandum. But in 1996 and 1997, court cases involving other companies held the method to be illegal. So in 2005, IRS examiners asked if the company's deductions taken after the date of the court rulings could be disallowed. IRS holding, the cases involved other taxpayers and were appealable. The specific IRS approval obtained by the company of its actions protects all its deductions claimed until the approval is revoked, which it is now, by the way, on an ongoing basis. So that kind of tells you what's happening with the IRS. They like to just skirt the rules. They're getting what they want, but the truth is they're stretching a little bit. Well, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. That's where we're at right now with this segment that we called Inside the IRS. It's just a little bit like the Twilight Zone. Okay, now these are not tax court cases, but they are things that the IRS has discussed, that come to resolutions on, and when it's appropriate, actually you can use it yourself in your own defense. And let's get started with it. Here's the thing. Do not be seduced by the IRS's last chance amnesty offer on offshore bank accounts. Or offshore bank actions, actually. The IRS is promoting the settlement program for individuals who maintain offshore bank accounts that they have not reported on their tax returns. If you respond positively within 15 days of its offer, you must give the IRS access to every piece of information that it is seeking. In return, they'll not prosecute you for a tax crime, but you got to be careful here. The revenue agent may only know that you maintain an offshore bank account. He or she may not know when the money was deposited into the account or the source of that money. So your strategy? Don't respond to any questions until you've met with a knowledgeable tax attorney and they handle this for you. Well, the next issue is what special agents want to know when they contact your tax preparer. One of the most important witnesses in a criminal case against you is the person who actually prepared your tax return. The preparer generally has in his or her possession work paper files that contain originals of copies of financial documents and handwritten notes. The special agents will summons these to obtain evidence of criminal conduct, looking for proof of intent to evade the payment of tax by underreporting income or hiding assets. So advice for tax preparers? Before agreeing to talk to a special agent, ask for a summons for the requested information. If the IRS issues a summons, review it with your attorney before making any statement to the IRS. You want to be sure that you have not been complicit in your client's wrongdoing. Well, you know what? I've seen that happen many times. Sometimes the client asks you to do something that's wrong. Sometimes you just do it wrong, and the client gets hurt by it. Just be careful. In either case, whether you're the preparer or you're the client, if you're going to get contacted by the IRS like that, you need to contact an attorney and have that attorney represent you. That's the best way to have these things happen. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner, and we'll have my own genius grandson, my co-host today, bring Sean LaFave on the air with us. So we'll be right back. Don't go away, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean Lefebvre, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And welcome back to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. We're here with our own Sean Lefebvre and his Geared for Wellness Corner. Mr. Lefebvre, you have the microphone.
Hey, Joey, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. How's that old man there with you? Is he doing well too? Can he hear me?
Yeah, I can tell you this. I don't know what the weather is like in Wichita, but right here in sunny Southern California, it's 103 degrees on his way down to 74.
That's exactly what it is here, 103 degrees right now.
Well, yeah, but we have no humidity. How you doing that way?
Yeah, we got some humidity. I didn't actually look, but I can tell you here in a second. Yeah, it's no fun outside. I tell you what, I'm doing my call from my new office here in Wichita, Kansas, which I'm still in the process of getting set up. It's been a fun transition, but I'm getting everything set up. But yeah, it's hot and it's humid and that part I can deal with the heat. My son and I, we used to go on vacation in the summertime to Arizona, and I'm not talking like Flagstaff up in the, I'm talking like down in the desert, and I always enjoyed it. It was never it'd be 110 degrees, but because it's dry, I know people say, oh, it's dry heat. Well, it really does make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what's supposed to be down to 78 today. Well, actually, right now the humidity is only 35%, so I guess we're not bad.
So you're saying your temperatures are going to get down to 78?
Down to 78 tonight, yeah.
Yeah, but that's still pretty warm. Now, you have air conditioning where you're at, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Kansas just got electricity last year, so we now have air conditioners too.
So really, you got electricity there. You don't have these little Jewish mice on bicycles pedaling real fast?
Well, that's where the electricity comes from.
Okay. Hey, listen, I wanted to ask you, since you're going to be in Wichita for 3 months, and it's a special project that you're on, are they providing you with living quarters, or did you have to rent an apartment, or what'd you do?
No, I'm actually staying with Sally here.
Oh, you know what? I could really get into that conversation.
We're not going there.
Oh, no, you know what? I could really get into that conversation. Anyway,
but we have something very important to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna get today's article. We're gonna start. Hey,
Sean, horses and cows.
Sean, let's get the lead out.
We're gonna get the lead out.
Yeah,
exactly. We're gonna start calling Joey Low Lead Joey after this show. I'm pretty sure, because that kid, he doesn't show any signs of lead toxicity at all.
No, not that boy.
Was that lead going through somebody?
So, unfortunately, all the sound effects that we're doing here, Joey, Sean can't hear them.
Mr. LaFave, he just played a sound effect of a shotgun going off.
Oh. See, now you got to narrate the sound effects from now on. Great.
Well, that's how we get the lead out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So listen, you sent me that article. It was a long article, but a really interesting article, but a controversial article also. It wasn't like it's all brand new information, and it goes back historically. If you could take the time to do it, why don't you go ahead and set up the premise of what we're going to be talking about?
Okay, well, the premise of the one article, and of course there's a lot more to the whole lead issue than just this one article, but this specific article, which references a study that was done on lead and its effects on temporal changes in IQ and how that affects violent crime and unwed pregnancy. And so it really talks about, the correlation between our lead exposure as a society and how that correlates to especially exposure in early childhood. That's the big thing. Lead exposure at any age is unsafe. It comes with a bunch of horrible side effects and ill health effects and on. But really, where the most damage is done is when babies and small children are exposed to lead, because the body's developing, it's growing, it's the brain plasticity is setting in, and so it affects everything from sociological behaviors to mood, depression, anger, all kinds of things. And so lead exposure, especially at an early age, has a huge effect on brain development. It affects all parts of the body. It affects all the organs, but really where we see the biggest effects are in the central nervous system, especially when it gets into the brain.
Now, as we've said that, there's a lot of the places where young children were exposed to lead that have been rectified, have they not? Like the leaded gasoline, leaded paint, lead in the, well, I was going to say lead in the water, but then the first thing you're going to say is Flint, Michigan, right?
Flint, yeah.
And then my guess is that Flint, Michigan is just the tip of the iceberg.
I believe that too. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, we have as a society realized, I think that's the funny thing is, we fixed that problem. We took the lead out of the gasoline back in the 80s, and we took the lead out of the gasoline we took the lead out of the paint, but you would think that we would have learned our lesson 1,000 years ago. It wasn't like lead we all of a sudden just found out 50 years ago that this is harmful. They've known since at least the Roman Empire. I mean, we've known for, centuries and if not millennium that lead is bad for your health. It really has a lasting negative effect on society. And so why we even thought it was a good idea to put it in gasoline or to put it in paint or you can get it in toothpaste from China, from, candy from Mexico. Lead is, it's pretty much everywhere.
It's interesting when you were talking about we get it in toothpaste from China. You know the story behind that, right? There was this individual, this Chinese, I don't know if they call him director or commissar or whatever they call him, and he was in charge of the exports of this toothpaste that was manufactured and packaged in China and then exported to other countries, including right here in the United States. Well, it was found to be tainted with lead and causing all kinds of problems. What they wound up doing, the man voluntarily left his employment and this big job and everything was going on, and yet the Chinese people decided that they were going to try him anyway for a crime against the people. They tried him, they found him guilty, immediately took him outside the courtroom, behind the courtroom, put a bullet behind his ear and charged the family for the bullet.
Wow, that's swift justice right there.
Yeah, he's never going to do that again.
No, he will never make that mistake again, ever. Wow, that's China. Wow, that's pretty bad. That part I didn't know. About the execution of the CEO of that company or whatever he was, whatever his job. But wow, that's I bet if we started doing that in this country, we probably clean up a lot of things.
Oh, we needed to start right at the nation's capital with legislators doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Joey's eyes are crawling to the back of his head here. He can't believe that I actually said that.
So yeah, lead is just, unfortunately it's everywhere. And the really unfortunate part is, and this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. And it's, I've created a whole program that really kind of, is geared around this specific problem, and that is that the number one source, and the World Health Organization will tell you this, the number one source of exposure for all babies of lead is they get it from mom. And what happens is the lead has an affinity for binding to calcium. It really likes calcium. So it stores itself in the bone, it stores itself in your teeth, and when a woman gets pregnant, a lot of women tend to be calcium deficient, especially, we're talking about, what is this? This article is talking about unwed pregnancies, which basically is just another way of saying unplanned pregnancies. And so now the woman is calcium deficient. Well, the body wants to pull calcium from wherever it can, so it pulls it from the mother's bones. Well, that calcium now has lead attached to it, and that calcium is being passed through the placenta with the lead attached to it into the fetus, and now you've got in utero a baby that's being developed, and lead is being deposited into it, and it's getting in every aspect of the child.
So Sean, how are these mothers actually absorbing this lead? Is it just naturally through the paint and through the water and that kind of stuff?
I mean, we used to, back, when leaded gasoline was around, it was just in the air. It's still in the air, maybe not in the quantities it used to be back when we had leaded gas, but it was certainly in the air then. It is now, not as much. It's in the dirt. Lead is just one of those things. It's just, we've used it so much for so many different things. We used to have, cans. Remember, they used to solder cans together with lead. Yep. So you would have lead in your food.
And pipes too.
And pipes used to have lead. In fact, I remodeled the kitchen of my house that was built in '56, and it actually there was a pipe in there that was a lead pipe, and it was crazy. It's like, why is there lead in the house? It was built in '56.
So what happens to people that actually have used lead to seal pipes or to even used lead piping? When they changed the laws to make the environment safe for people, did they require those people to remove that kind of plumbing, or did it happen by attrition?
I think it just happened by attrition. I think it was just a natural, progress. I don't know that there was ever any laws that said you're required. I'm sure HUD certainly must have, because I know that when I first got out of the Air Force and I was in college, I actually painted houses for about a year or so, and that was one of the HUD standards was any lead-based paint, you had to scrape off of as much of it as you could. So if you were able to scrape it off, you had to scrape. You had to keep scraping until it just wouldn't scrape off. The stuff that was stuck on was fine. You could paint over it, and you were okay.
Matter of fact, do you remember when you would actually take your fingernail to a side of a building, and it might have been white paint, any color paint, but you rubbed your fingernail on it, and all of a sudden you saw that lead color. You could actually write.
Yeah. You saw that dark gray tint come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that question was, even today when they discover it, with asbestos, the government was requiring it to be removed, period.
Well, yeah, asbestos, absolutely. You got to remove that stuff. It's just as bad as lead is. Asbestos is just absolutely, it's horrible. It was killing people quickly. Lead was killing us a lot slower, and so it didn't get the attention. But yeah, asbestos was when people were working in these factories that had asbestos in them, you'd get half the factory would all of a sudden end up dead, from mesothelioma.
Wow.
And so yeah, it was a big problem. But lead, I don't know if the lead plumbing is, it's so hard to find anymore that I don't even know if it's even an issue. But of course they went to copper or they went to galvanized steel first, which was horrible because it clogged up so bad it got all those mineral deposits in it. And then they went to copper, and copper's a really good product to use.
But one of the things that bothers me, you remember all of the water pipe breaks that took place in Los Angeles. I mean, you saw floods of water everywhere. These pipes were breaking because the pipes were actually put into the ground 75, 80, 100 years ago. And there's a part of me that wants to say, gosh, are those lead pipes?
Yeah, you got to wonder, if there's got to be lead pipes running from some municipality, especially in older cities. There's got to be lead somewhere, but you hope that they've replaced that since then. There's no way of really knowing, but one would hope that they've replaced all that. So yeah, I don't know what the law is though, specifically with, I would assume HUD probably has some sort of stipulation in there that if you're going to remodel a home, that it needs to be, if you know of any lead plumbing, it needs to be replaced.
We've got 10 minutes left before we have to shift out of here. And I was hoping, because we were talking about lead and the exposure to lead, how do you get exposed, and that it is really predominant with pregnant women and fetuses. I was hoping that you could talk about the effect that it actually has on the organs of the body before we get into the IQ issues.
Yeah, so lead, what it does is it actually creates a condition called apoptosis, and apoptosis just means cellular death, and literally the cell itself dies. And so lead actually kind of induces that, and so whether it's in the brain or it's in your liver, or if it's in your kidneys or whatever the case might be, the lead accumulates in the mitochondria, and it damages that mitochondria. And so what happens is you've got a decreased mitochondrial function that can basically take a normally functioning cell, and all of a sudden it creates a sort of like a neuron killing, like excitotoxin, basically, is what it is. So it actually kills those neurons, and it causes that cell to basically fold in on itself, and it kills itself. And so you can get that at any level. And so when you start getting that, you have a lower level.
Sean, I'm having this fear that when you're talking about cytotoxins and neuroreceptors and all those things, that we're way over the top of a lot of our audience's comprehension. Could you kind of define what those things are too, please?
Oh, sure. So an excitotoxin is any type of toxin in your body that is excitatory for the nervous system. So it basically creates it's an excitatory response. Your nervous system becomes overstimulated, or the cell itself can become overstimulated. And when you talk about apoptosis, like I said, that one is actually a cellular death. It's actually the cell actually basically folds in on itself and it kills itself. It basically commits suicide, if you will. And and I've got this theory that I've never been able to prove, but I would have to obviously have a full university study or something done. But I look at things like autoimmune disorders. We talk about that someone is autoimmune. They say the body is attacking itself, and it's attacking healthy normal cells. I don't believe that. I find that hard to believe. I shouldn't say I don't believe it, but I find it hard to believe.
How do you explain AIDS?
So AIDS?
Yeah. But that's an autoimmune issue.
Yeah, AIDS. Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that's AIDS. That's not a virus. HIV is a virus. AIDS is a acquired immune deficiency. It's not actually autoimmune. It's acquired immune deficiency.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which means your immune system just gets shot. Your immune system is so worn out that now anything, people with HIV die of like pneumonia or something like that because they just don't have an immune system.
The resistance went down, and that's what took them.
But things like autoimmune, the way I look at it is you get something like lead or mercury or some sort of toxin in the cell, and the body doesn't know what to do with it, and it's got to go in, and it maybe is trying to attack that particular little excitotoxin, that particular little toxin that's in the cell. And in essence, what it's doing is it looks like it's actually attacking the cell. And an example that I use to put this in a bigger picture, something a little bit more real world that people can wrap their minds around. When I was in Desert Storm, we would go fly these missions, and when the next time we would go fly, they would brief us on the mission that we flew last time, and if we refueled some airplanes, what that airplane may have done, whatever it went out and did its mission. And one of them was an F-16 that I had refueled, went in and it dropped a bomb on it was like an 11 or 12 story building. It was something like that. It was a huge building. But the reason why they did that was there was a sniper that had hunkered himself down inside this building, and they could not get to him. And he was just picking people off left and right, and they couldn't get to the guy. And so they said, well, we'll just level the whole building. So they took an F-16 and dropped a bomb on it and leveled the entire building with the guy inside of it. Now, of course, their goal was not to destroy the building. Their goal was to get rid of that sniper. And
right.
He's one little tiny thing inside of this great big building, huge office building. But, it was so in order to protect the greater good and everything going on around in Baghdad, or I think he was in Baghdad, they basically had to level an entire office building to protect everything else around it. And I think that's what happens when our body is in an autoimmune state, is it's going in and it's maybe destroying cells, and it's creating this chronic inflammation, but what it's doing is it's trying to get rid of a smaller issue. And it's doing that because anytime the body does something to itself, even if it looks negative, it's usually doing it to help the body last longer, to live longer. Even if you're living in a state that doesn't feel good, you're in a state of chronic pain or something like that, the body understands that if I don't do this, which is going to make me be in pain, what's going to happen is I'm actually going to die sooner because it's going to create more problems. And so I personally believe that autoimmune is something like that. But again, I don't have the resources to study that really. But that's what's happening. When you get lead in your body, it's an excitotoxin. Like I said, it's excitatory to the cell. It's excitatory to the central nervous system. It can lead to that apoptosis, which is cell death, and it actually creates oxidative stress. Is another thing that it leads to. You think about rust. That's kind of what's going on in your body is, oxidation, and so it does everything. It even your lipid metabolism, the way you metabolize fat. Lipid is a lipid is just a type of fat. So lipid metabolism, the way your body metabolizes fats, which is what we have for energy, and also coats the entire cell. Our cell membrane that goes around our cell is just what they actually call it, the lipid bilayer. It's a fat bilayer. And so all these things, are being affected by one little tiny little microgram of lead in your cell. And so really, the long-term effects, when you talk about affecting the mitochondria of the cell, the mitochondria is responsible for your energy. I mean, if you're affecting the mitochondria, you're affecting a lot of things that are going on in the cell. The cell can't even have the energy to reproduce and to heal and to repair and all those types of things. So when you get lead in the body, what it's doing is, and mercury is even worse. Mercury will actually eat through nerves. It won't just excite them; it'll actually eat them away. And I've seen videos of it. It's pretty scary stuff. But we're talking about lead. So the lead gets in the fatty tissues. It gets in the nerves. It gets in the brain. It gets in the bone, and actually when it's in the bone, it's pretty benign. It doesn't really do a lot to you. But again, when it's being pulled out and deposited into the baby in utero, then now you've got, imagine, this brand new baby that's not even born yet is being developed, and you're dropping little pieces of lead into its central nervous system. Well, you can only imagine what the long-term effects are. And like we talked about, Joey asked me, when we were on the show last time, what are the safe levels? Well, there are no safe levels. The safest level is 0, no lead at all.
And because it builds on itself, right? It doesn't deplete itself. It builds on itself. So over time,
our body.
So over time, it becomes toxic.
Right, exactly. It's the term they use is it bioaccumulates. It's just, your body just holds on, you get more. So, you start out, you might test a child, who has some and they don't seem like they have a lot, but we're being exposed to lead in all different forms still to this day. And, you could test that person 50 years later and all of a sudden their lead levels are through the roof, and it's just, lead is one of those things that's interesting. Your body can hold on to it. And we know that, like even going through hormonal changes, like puberty, the body can release more. It can take that lead and stir it up and actually release lead that's bound up in the tissues and the bones, and now all of a sudden now you've got more lead exposure just from what was sitting there really not hurting anything in your bones. All of a sudden you go through these hormonal changes and you're auto exposing yourself to what's already in your body.
Well, give us a little preview of what we're going to talk in the next episode. We've got to take a brief break, and then we're going to get more into lead. We're going to talk more. We're going to talk about actual rapes, and we're going to talk about IQs and things like that, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about how it affects the IQ, and we'll talk about some social and behavioral negative effects that go along with lead toxicity as well. And
then, is there anything that medical science can do about the lead buildup? Is there any, or are you just gone?
No, we can chelate it and take it out of the body. It's something that I do. Yeah, we know how to do it. I don't know why it's not being done on a regular basis, but we definitely know that there are safe and effective ways to chelate the body and pull that out.
Then let's talk about that when we come back as well. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. My co-host Joey and Sean and I are going to be returning after these brief messages. We've got a lot of great show and a lot of fantastic information for you. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
Well, rise and shine. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And I haven't been run over yet, even though Sean sometimes wishes I were. But at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is still 103 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And where my good buddy is in Wichita, Kansas, it is 102 degrees and partly cloudy. Hey, Sean, you've got the microphone, my friend.
All right. So yeah, we were talking about lead and just how it affects, the brain and the cell. And, one of the things that lead also does is, I don't know if you've ever heard of, what they call the NMDA receptors. It stands for N-methyl D-aspartate. It's a receptor in the brain that's really, it's involved in really a lot of processes, but it helps the brain mature. It helps with brain plasticity. And a lot of these changes, of course, are going on, especially while a baby is developing. But the NMDA receptors are also responsible for short-term memory. You say you may have known someone who had too much alcohol to drink one night, and they wake up the next night and they go, "Oh my God, what did I do last night? I don't remember." Well, alcohol blocks the NMDA receptors, and lead does the exact same thing. It also blocks the NMDA receptors, and so it can cause a interruption in your body's ability to store memories. So all new memories just don't get stored. So when you talk about, we have these behavioral changes that are going on. Someone's doing something stupid, and of course, my answer, at least on today's show is, well, maybe it's because of lead. Well, it very well could be because of lead, because you just don't learn those lessons. People don't have the ability to actually store those memories of, okay, this is what happened. This was the negative effect of that. Let's not do it again. Well, that memory loop doesn't work because of things like, lead toxicity. And of course, we know that drugs will do the same thing. We know that alcohol will do the same thing. You don't really learn a lesson if you can't remember it. And so that's kind of one of the things with lead. And this study or the article, I should say, that I sent you, they basically made a huge correlation, a very strong evidence that children, exposed to lead, go on, especially, but even exposed as an adult, that there's a correlation. Not only is their IQ dropped, but because of the way that it changes the brain plasticity and affects the NMDA receptors and all these other things, that it also affects social behavioral attitudes kids, I guess, is, violent crimes are higher for people who are higher than lead. Robberies, murders, and they look at the correlation. I'm assuming you look at all those graphs at the back of the article. I mean, that to me, I'm a huge guy. I love graphs. I like pictures. I'm very visual. I like to see graphs. And so when I saw those graphs, I just went, wow, this is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a judgment inhibitor.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it does. Is it impairs your ability to make good judgments. You make stupid decisions. And in fact, there was let me find this. I found when I was kind of doing some more research, I found this article that was it was actually an article that talks about this article, but there was an article in the New England Journal of Medicine. This was published in 1979. Okay, so like you said, this isn't a new problem. This is something we know about. And what they did in this study was they took 312 first and second graders, and the average age was 7.3 years old. And what they did was they took a dentine sample. They took a sample of their teeth. Like I said, lead loves to deposit itself in the bones and the teeth. That's one of its favorite places. So they scrape off a little piece of tooth, they test it, and they put the kids in 6 classes, 6 categories. And that was, the ones that had the lead parts per million was less than 5.1. It was 5.1 to 8.1 for the second class, and it just kept going up to where, the 6th group had 27 parts per million or higher. And then what they did was they went and talked to these kids' teachers, and they said, tell us about these kids and how often you would report that this kid has this type of behavioral issue. And the behavioral issues were the kid is distractible, not persistent, is dependent, as in I'm assuming they mean dependent on the teacher for help with things, not organized, hyperactive, impulsive, frustrated, could be a daydreamer, unable to follow simple directions, and low overall functioning. There's another one too that says sequences, and I don't really understand what they mean by that one. But in all of these categories, the higher the lead level in the kid, the more the teacher reports these behavioral problems with the child. And I mean, it is literally, you watch it just get higher. There's a couple of times where it dips and goes back up, but on average, it's significant. You can watch it climb. So the kids with the lowest level of lead stored in their teeth also have the lowest reportings of behavioral problems. And then they went on, they actually re-examined these kids once they were, after that was 1979. So in 88, they went and they re-examined the kids. They were now average age, instead of being an average age of 7.3 years old, they were 18.4 years old. And they showed that increased levels of lead in the teeth were associated with an increased risk of not graduating from high school, with reading difficulties significant enough to be defined as a disability, lower class standings in high school, increased absenteeism, lower vocabulary and grammatical reasoning scores, increased reaction time, and slower finger tapping, like people that just kind of like tap their fingers on it's a Needleman test anyways, but so their reaction time and their finger tapping time is slower, and they were inversely related to self-reports of minor delinquent activity. But so basically, I guess they're not going to tell them themselves much. But so basically, what this study showed was that the increase, the more lead a child has in his or her body, the more behavioral problems they're going to have throughout, at least from until age 18. But we know, according to this study, the one that I sent you, that they looked at the IQ, and let me just find some of these. This was, of course, done here in the United States. The average increase of IQ, was an average increase of 0.3 IQ points from 1932 to 1989. And that was due to, of course, they're saying that a decrease of exposure to lead. And so we see where lead is decreased over the years, the IQ tends to increase. lead in paint. So we know that there's different kinds of lead. There's white lead, red lead, and then there's another one that's a tetraethyl lead, the one that's what was in gasoline. And we know that white lead kind of peaked out, in the early 1900s, and it gradually was phased out until the 1980s. And the same thing with the red lead. It actually peaked out in the 1940s, and then again was gradually decreased until the 1980s when they took it out. And then with leaded gasoline, it was actually introduced in the 40s, and then it peaked in around 1980, and then in the 80s we actually took it out. So we know that our lead exposure over the last I should say the last 100 years, but the 75 to 80 plus years of the last century, we did see an increase up until like around the 40s, and then it just gradually decreased. And so what we also saw was an increase in IQ as our lead exposure went down. And I will say this: the one thing about this is they talk about they do a blood test. I'm not a huge fan of doing blood tests. It will show something. There are better ways to test. There's actually 3 ways to test. There's blood, urine, and hair. If you can do all 3, that's great. But are
the results going to be different?
The results will be different, and the reason is there's an APOE gene type, and you're either a 1, 2, or a 3. And if you're a 1, your body's usually pretty good at getting rid of heavy metals. You can detox just fine. 2, not as well. And a person who's an APOE 3, their body just tends to hold on to heavy metals. And so let's say I gave you a hair test. They go in and actually clip a little bit of hair off the back of your head, and they run it in a machine, and it tells you how much heavy metals. Well, if you're an APOE 1, you probably could have higher lead or higher heavy metals in your hair because your body's naturally getting rid of it. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. But they're going to run that test, and they're going to go, oh, look, you've got a lot of metals, and they're going to want to put you on a program. But if you're an APOE 3 and I do a hair test, they're going to go, look, you really don't have a metals problem. There's really nothing in your hair. It's very little. It's nothing significant. Well, the reason why is because your body just isn't naturally getting rid of it. And so it's bound up in your tissues. It's in your bones, and it's in your central nervous system. And so, yeah, you really do need to detox. The blood tests, the problem with that is blood is not a storage container, it's a transport system. And so it's gonna hold the lead or any type of toxin for a while, but it is eventually going to get rid of it. It doesn't want to transport it forever. It wants to drop it off somewhere. And so eventually it's going to get rid of it. So blood is really good for showing acute exposure. Am I currently in a lead or some sort of heavy metal exposure or whatever? I can get tested, and if my levels are high, then I know I'm currently being exposed. I've got to figure out where that exposure is coming from. But if I was exposed to lead, back when I was a kid, back in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s, and now it's all stored up in my body, and they test me today. Well, it's not going to show up in a blood test because it's stored in my tissues in my body. So a blood test doesn't necessarily work very effectively either. But what you can do is you can do a chelator. You actually give someone a binding agent that binds to heavy metals, and it gets pulled out through the urine, and you do a urine catch, and that'll tell you. And what that does is that by giving the person what they call a chelator is a binding agent. By giving the person a chelator, it actually levels the playing field. It doesn't matter what your gene type is. The stuff's going to go in and find it. So,
Sean, why bother with the other 2 tests? Why wouldn't you just go to the one that you know is going to give you the information that you need if it's there?
They're all good diagnostic tools. If I could do all 3 with every single person, that would be a lot of fun, because I can see, I can tell you I can probably get a good guess of what your APOE gene type is. I can tell you if you're in a current exposure. There may be somebody that's working, in some sort of an industrial job where they don't even realize it, but they're being exposed to metals on a regular basis. And if their metals are elevated in their blood, then you know that you need to do something, whether it's wear a respirator or go find another job. So there's benefits to all 3 tests. All 3 tests have their benefits, but if you want to see what the overall body burden is, that's the key, is how much is stored in my body. Mm-hmm. The most effective way to do that is through a chelated urine challenge, they call it.
So when they do that, does it actually pull that test sample from a specific place?
The chelating agent that I used the most was called DMSA, stands for dimercaptosuccinic acid, and DMSA is great. It's really got especially an affinity for lead. It really likes going to lead, but if there's no lead, it'll go find nickel or mercury or aluminum or whatever, and so you give the person that chelating agent, and what it does is it just kind of floats around the body and it starts grabbing whatever metals it can find, and then you just end up peeing it out. And what you do is you collect your urine for 6 hours, and then shake it up real good and put it in a little vial.
6 hours.
Yeah, you collect your urine, because what it is,
that would really piss me off.
Yes, and but the reason for doing a 6-hour collection time is I might go to the bathroom once and maybe there was just a huge hit and a lot of metals came out. The next time I go, maybe very little came out. So you don't want your sample to be one or the other of those. So over a 6-hour, we used to do a 24-hour one too, which was, I think, it was unnecessary. But I like the 6-hour chelation test, and it gives you a good overall gauge of how much the body is getting rid of under the chelation process. So I like that. But again, these tests, like the one that I really like, that one where I was just talking about where they tested the kids, they actually scraped off, a piece of the tooth, a little dentine, sample. And I thought that was great because, you can't, that's not going to come from an acute exposure. It's going to be there. It could have been there for, years. And so that I like that way of doing it a lot. That was really cool. I never even heard of anyone doing it that way until I read this study. But, so anyway, we do know, the point is we do know that lead exposure is there. We do know that you can test the lead levels in their bodies. And what we're finding through this test, or through this study found, is that people with higher levels of lead in their body are more prone toward, antisocial behavior. Everything from crime to, again, this says unwed pregnancy, but what they really mean is just unplanned pregnancies,
So what you're saying is Ted Cruz could actually be the product of an unwed pregnancy, and he could have lead poisoning because he's not being very articulate, nor is he being very reasonable.
Yeah, I think Ted Cruz proved in his speech at the Republican National Convention that he has lead toxicity. Man, it's like, I don't know, maybe he'll recover from it, but it seemed like he just wanted to shoot himself in the face while he was up there. I couldn't believe it, but whatever. I'm not all that convinced that it wasn't all pre-programmed, not only between Cruz but also between the Trump factions. They knew in advance what was going to go on. They knew how they were going to play it. I'm not so sure that wasn't all orchestrated. Anyway, we don't want to talk about politics. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So anyway, so when you look at the numbers, though, it's and we see these patterns, and it's not just the United States. There have been studies done in other countries that they basically found the exact same thing. And here's just some of the stats. If you look at the IQs, because we do know for a fact that the higher your lead levels in your body, the lower your IQ. I talked about that the other day, that it takes 17 micrograms, which I did the math again. It's, if you take a dime, you split it up into 149,000 equal pieces. One of those pieces weighs 17 micrograms.
Whoa. I thought it was 149 pieces for a dime. 149,000 pieces?
149,000 pieces, yes.
Holy cow.
Yeah, if you take a dime, split it up into 149,000 equal pieces, one of those pieces is 17 micrograms, and we know that 17 micrograms of lead in the brain is enough to lower your IQ by 10 points. And there was another article I found, too, that they said for every 5 micrograms or something like that, there was I can't remember the exact, but it came out, it was close. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was pretty close. It said for every 5 micrograms they find that it's so many points of IQ drop. And so we know that lead significantly can reduce your IQ. And here's some interesting statistics.
You might want to save, because we only got 20 seconds left. Do you want to save this for the next segment?
Yeah. So when we come back, I'm going to give you some really cool statistics on that show the correlation between IQ and how it leads to criminal activity and criminal incarceration as well.
Okay, we're talking to our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. We're talking about everything you need to know about lead and how very important it really is. And it's going to make you think about the people in Flint, Michigan, and all the other cities that have not even admitted that they have this problem yet. We'll be right back with Sean after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And we're off and running, and we're down to the wire at 4:23 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 104 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. They kind of readjusted that, but my buddy in Wichita, Kansas is still enjoying that beautiful, balmy 102 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our syndicated global network and you're in New York City, it's 82 and clear, and in Chicago, Illinois, it is 89 and mostly cloudy. Hey, Sean, you got the microphone. You were going to give us some stats.
All right. So talking about lead and IQ. So if you look at just, I'm going to rattle off a few of these here, and then we'll go into some other stuff afterwards. But people who were sentenced to a correctional facility have an average IQ of 93. People who were convicted but not incarcerated have an average IQ of 100. People who were booked of a crime but not convicted of that crime have an average IQ of 101. People who were stopped by the police but not booked, average IQ of 103. And people who have no criminal justice system contact ever have an average IQ of 106. So,
well, now I happen to know that my IQ is higher than that, and I've been stopped by traffic cops.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I thought about that too. I'm wondering if speeding, if traffic violations are, I'm assuming they're talking about, misdemeanor crimes and felonies, but this didn't specifically say. It just says white male self-reported deepest involvement in criminal justice system. That's all. This is that NL. The study that they're talking about here is the National Longitudinal Survey of Labor Market Experiences of Youth study, which is I don't even know why that's such a long name. I'm trying to figure out what it means. Does it
talk about educational levels that are attained that are correlated with those IQs? Because those are low IQs.
Yeah, for some reason, I want to say that there was education talked about in here, so I'll have to go back and look at that. Yeah. But they talked about white males. Again, this is one specific. I don't know why they were going with white males, but white males interviewed in a correctional facility. The IQ percentile range, the lowest 5%. There was 12% interviewed in a correctional facility. The 5th to 25th percentile is 7% in a correctional facility. 25th to 75th percentile is 1%, and then the highest 25% of IQ, 0 were in a correctional facility or interviewed in a facility. And if you look at unwed births, and again, this is among white females in this study, the lowest 5% IQ had 32% of them had unwed births. And actually, the percentage of white females, their first births that were unwed was actually 42%. I'm just going to stick with just the one number so we don't get too many numbers thrown in here. So 32% of those in the lowest 5% of the IQ spectrum have had unwed births. Those in the 5th to 25th percentile have 17% of them have had unwed births. Those in the 25th to 75th percentile had 8% of them have had unwed births. 75th to 95th percentile, 4% of them have had unwed births, and the highest 5%, only 2% of them had unwed births. So obviously, as you're going up in IQ, you're getting less incarceration, less crime, and more unwed births. So basically, you're just not making the decisions you're making you're not making
poor
decisions.
Judgment.
Yeah. So if you look at so if you look at the IQ decile, basically, percentage, a 10, I guess, 10%. The first decile, meaning, 10,000 people, I guess, out of 100,000, the violent crimes are 950 out of 100,000, or I'm sorry, 950 of those people had committed some sort of a crime. This is just crime rates. It doesn't say violent crime.
Okay, 950 out of...
This is violent crime. So 950 out of the 10,000 of the lowest IQ. So we're taking 100,000 people.
So it's just about 10%.
So yeah, so the out of 100,000 people, the 10,000 with the lowest IQ, so 10%, the lowest 10%, 950 out of the 10,000 were involved or convicted of a violent crime. The second 10,000 IQ bracket was down to 700 of them. The third IQ bracket of, again, a 10,000, group of 10,000 was down to 400 of them had committed violent crimes. And then all the way from the 4th through the 8th, so we're talking now 50,000 people their violent crimes there was 500 of them out of 50,000. So it's still a very significant drop because your pool that you're drawing from is 5 times the size. So it would be basically 100 per 10,000. So we went from 400 down to 100, and then those in the ninth and 10th percentile, so the last 20,000 highest IQ, 0 of them were involved in violent crimes. And so, and the average IQ,
and this directly correlates to judgment calls, right?
Right. When you're doing a violent crime, it's always a judgment call. You're doing something you shouldn't do, but you do it anyway. It's illegal. It's not like no one gets involved in a violent crime and goes, oh gosh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. So it's certainly a judgment call. But the average IQ, the median IQ of that lowest bracket, the lowest 10% was 74 IQ. The next bracket was an average IQ or a median IQ of 84, and then it goes up to 90 for the third bracket, and then 4 through 8 median IQ was 102, and then for the 9th and 10th, the top 20% highest IQs there, who had 0 violent crimes, their median IQ was 122. So you're just looking at, basically the point here is as your IQ goes down, your propensity towards violent crimes and unwed births, which we'll study here, increases.
So now let's drive this home, because we're coming down to about 6 minutes left. So to drive this home, and we were talking about Flint, Michigan earlier, and the young kids and the families that are being exposed to lead, and let's just acknowledge that we know that is not an isolated issue. It's in cities all over the country. So what we can expect then is that as more and more of the population is exposed to lead, even though this study goes back many years, in the future we can expect an increase in crime as a result of this.
Exactly. That's exactly what we can expect. Is you can expect that those kids in Flint, Michigan will grow up, and more of them on average will go into some sort of a crime spree and be incarcerated, statistically speaking, on average, than kids who come from a town where they had, maybe there was no lead or very little bit of lead. There's always going to be some lead, but it's a matter of how low they can get it down. But yeah, you can expect, if you follow those kids from Flint, Michigan, you look 20 years from now where they all are, there's probably going to be a higher percentage of those kids incarcerated than there is average across the country, for sure. Because that's just what the lead does, and it's not just simply that you have a low IQ, you're stupid, you make stupid decisions. It literally affects your like I said, your NMDA receptors. You don't remember things as well. It affects your judgment. It affects the way your brain is actually developed. Your brain just doesn't develop the way it's supposed to.
So, Sean, to what extent then are the crimes that these minorities and these people that have been, because they happen to be in cities that they're predominantly minorities, and I'm not putting that down in a racial kind of a thing. It just happens to be the way it is. So to what extent then is the crime that's going to happen in the future that might not have happened had it not been for lead exposure, to what extent is the responsibility of the state and the city and the local government that did nothing about this?
I think that they because we know it's not like the data isn't there. I think that they have a huge responsibility for this. We can certainly blame them. Are they going to own up to it and take responsibility and go, okay, we're going to pay the cost? Of course not. That's not going to happen. That's not the way our government works. But in my opinion, yes. It's that old saying. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, the village includes your water treatment system and the government that's in charge of it, and everything, the factories where mom and dad work, and everything else. We've got to have regulations in place to prevent this, and it's no secret. We figured it out. We took the lead out of the gasoline. Our government finally went, okay, you know what? We can find a better way to lubricate the valves on our engine than using lead and while breathing it in. Maybe we should get rid of lead in the paint too, at the same time. And so it's not that we don't know that it's a problem and they haven't brought about legislation. It's just You know,
so let me
something as simple as water. You just, they turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because you travel, I travel, my family travels, and we travel outside of the borders of this country, and we would think that we were even better protected here than anywhere else. To what extent, when we're traveling to foreign countries, are we being super exposed to these heavy metal exposures?
Oh, I'm sure it's a multiple fold times that we're being exposed in other countries. I remember when I was in college, I went to Ukraine, and we were there for 2 weeks. We went and taught we did some economics lectures at one of the universities out there, just myself and one of my professors, a guy named Paul Ballantyne, and just had a wonderful time. But like we were walking around, they were fixing the roof on one of the buildings, and when they were done, there was literally in the middle of the quad, in the middle of the open area of the school, the guy was done. He had extra tar left over in his bucket, and so he just set it in the middle of the campus and lit it on fire to burn off all the tar. And everyone's walking around like, no big deal, this is all right. The guy's got to get rid of the tar somehow. You can't just dump it in the grass. And I just thought, it's crazy. I can't imagine how many people would get fired for doing something like that at a university here in the United States. And so that's just one little example. So if they're not even caring about the fact that someone's got an open fire, burning tar in the middle of a university full of young men and women, certainly you can't convince me that they've got regulations to protect them against lead exposure, at any level. So yeah, other countries, they don't have, I would imagine there are places that probably still use lead-based paint. I've never actually looked. I can maybe Google it and see if it still exists. But like I said, like you talked about, the guy that they took out and shot for allowing lead in the toothpaste. That was a quick fix that maybe sent out a message to everyone else: don't put lead in my toothpaste because I don't want it. Yeah, right. We got the message. I'm allergic to lead. And he's like, you want lead? Here's some lead.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if it's liquid lead. I don't care if it's lead in the water. I especially don't want it to be lead in a bullet.
I especially don't want it in a 44 caliber. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want that kind of lead. That's going to spread around and do some damage. All of it. I guess all of it does, doesn't it? Lead's just a bad thing.
Yeah, lead is just, and I was talking about those graphs a little bit ago, and I'm going to just run through really quick.
Yeah, we only got 45 seconds.
We got 45 seconds?
Yeah.
They took these graphs, and they put our exposure to lead, and then overlaid on top of it a graph of things like, and they did a proper, year delay or whatever of unwed pregnancies, violent crime, murders, and all these, unwed conceptions and robberies and on and on and on. And the two graphs are like shadows of one another. It's unbelievable how the correlation between our lead exposure and crime and unwed pregnancies and robberies and all these different murders and everything, they just one trails the other one right after. It's scary. It's something that we need to address in our country.
Well, Sean, what a serious topic we've had today, and unfortunately, we don't have any more time. I look forward to talking to you on Tuesday. I'd like to get a report on how you're doing in your new office.
Okay, I'll give you a full report on that. Maybe Tuesday we can continue talking about lead a little bit. We can talk about ways that you can actually, as they say, get the lead out.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that. We don't want to super saturate the subject, but yeah, I think it would be interesting to find out, what solutions, what resolutions there are. Anyway, you go out, make it a wonderful week, make it a wonderful day, have a great weekend. Enjoy Sally, you young snapper, and I'm sure you got a smile on your face. Anyway, make everybody happy, make everybody glad that they're with you, will you?
Same to you, Robert, and to you as well, Joey. Thanks, guys. I had a great time.
All right. Are you going to say anything?
Oh, yeah. I guess I'll see you next time, I guess. I don't know if I'm going to be here or not, but I hope so.
You know what?
I hope so too, Joey.
Yeah, either he's going to get fired, I'm going to get fired, or we'll be here together. Anyway, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. The rest of you folks, do not go away, because when we come back, it'll be the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and interesting but useless facts with my co-host, Joey.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 104 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, they changed the stats and said that the high today was 106, and it's going to go down to 73 degrees. If you're listening to us on our syndicated global network and you're in Paris, France, it's 68 degrees and mostly cloudy. In Rome, Italy, also 68 degrees and it's clear. But right now, hang on to your hats. Here is my co-host, Joey, and he's going to start off with the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. Joey, you got the microphone.
Well, the Harvard Business Tip for today is use interview tactics that keep bias at bay. If you're a hiring manager, you're probably happiest getting a sense of a candidate through unconstructed views, which allows you to explore details you think are interesting and relevant. This method of interviewing makes it easy to tailor the direction of the interview and may help you understand your applicant's personality. But it's fraught with unreliability. Individual biases end up creeping in. For example, research shows that hiring managers tend to look for someone like themselves in interviews. To make the best decision, one that is impartial, standardize your interviewing process and ask the same questions of each applicant. Then score and compare all candidates' responses horizontally. That is, if you interview 5 candidates, compare each of their answers on question 1, then each on question 2, and so on. Doing so will eliminate subjectivity. The flow of conversation during the interview may be slightly more awkward, but the payoff is worth it.
And so, Joy, let's talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. That's all about a positive mental attitude. That just means that, you know what, you decide whether you're going to be happy, sad, poor, rich, successful, or a failure, whether the people around you are going to be happy or sad. And you start that whole process up when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you say, wow, I'm going to have a fantastic day. So, Joey, what's the secret for today?
Well, this one is actually a quote, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this name, from Genevieve Bernhind.
Works for me.
Yeah. Born around 1881 and died in 1960. This person says, we all possess more power and greater possibilities than we realize, and visualizing is one of the greatest of these powers.
Wow, that was profound. Well, Joey, today is Thursday. It's July the 21st, and it is somebody's birthday.
Well, today we have two birthdays for you. One is one that we should all know. A man born 1899, he died in the year 1961, a writer and journalist whose many works are now considered classics of American literature. Happy birthday, Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Now, this next person was born in 1948 and is still living today. A singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, educator, philanthropist, and prominent convert to Islam. Happy birthday, Cat Stevens.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know who Cat Stevens is?
That I don't.
Oh, what an entertainer. Wow. Unbelievable. You know. Hey, so Joey, what happened today in history?
Well, we've got three things for you. The first one is on July 21st, 1873. I'm also going to butcher this name. It's the city name. At Adair, Iowa, Jesse James and the James Younger gang pull off the first successful train robbery in the American West.
Oh, that's interesting. Jesse James.
And on July 21st, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin become the first men to walk on the moon.
You know what? Isn't that interesting? Your grandmother and I were watching television and actually watched, because it was a remote thing. They had a live feed on that. We actually watched Neil Armstrong take his last step off the ladder from the moon lander and land on the moon and took a step. And he says, well, you know what? That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. What a man he was.
Yeah, that's pretty,
you talk about exploration.
Awesome.
Yeah, talk about exploration. You have no more on that one, right?
I have one more, yes.
Okay.
July 21st, 2007, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the final book in the best-selling Harry Potter series, is released.
Do you think she'll ever do any more?
She has... I don't know if she's actually written it, but she's doing a spin-off called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And that's going to come out as a movie. She does a lot of work around Harry Potter without continuing the main novels. Yeah. From what I hear, those novels ended. The characters are off and that type of thing.
Well, Joey, we got 2 minutes. Let's get into interesting but useless facts.
Can I get... Okay. That sounds good. So, we skipped our quote for today.
Oh, no, go back to it. I'm sorry.
Our quote for today, which is from Edmund Burke, it says, better to be despised for too anxious apprehensions than ruined by too confident security.
Oh, that's true. Now let's do the interesting but useless facts.
Sounds good. The first one for today is Tom Sawyer was the first novel written on a typewriter by Mark Twain in 1876.
Wow.
Horses gallop at around 27 miles per hour.
You could beat them on foot, huh?
I don't think so. This is a pretty interesting one. Hobophobia is the fear of hobos.
That makes sense. I don't know how interesting that is. It makes sense, though.
This is interesting. The smallest book in the world is a copy of Chekhov's Chameleon, which measures 0.9 by 0.9 millimeters. The book has 30 pages and 3 color illustrations and is not much bigger than a grain of salt.
I think I'll pass on that one. I can't hardly see the big print on the stuff I've got here now.
This is interesting. Sometimes octopuses eat their arms when they are under extreme stress.
Not when they're hungry, just when they're under extreme stress.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
Rapper LL Cool J's name is short for Ladies Love Cool James.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Let's have another one.
Only 16% of the able-bodied males in the American colonies participated in the Revolutionary War.
16%?
16%.
Wow, that's interesting. What else you got?
In Quebec, Canada, an old law states that margarine must be a different color than butter.
Well, you know what? That makes sense.
That
because
does.
You know what? Everything's better with butter. Never use margarine, Joey. Now, we're out of time, Joe. We're going to have to go take a break. When we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. You did a great job, young man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, you know what? I'm a little tired. I've been doing work all day today. I've got a little bit of a sore throat. So the rest of the story today is going to be presented by my genius grandson, Joey. Hey, Joey, go for it.
Oh, okay. I haven't read this one yet, so I'll do my best.
All right.
The rest of the story is entitled The Policewoman. An oily midnight mist had settled on the city streets. Asphalt mirrors from a 10 o'clock rain now past. A sleazy street corner reflection of a smog-smudged neon. The corner of a Sheridan, and incongruously Sunnyside, Chicago. A lone lady lingers at the curb, but no bus will come. She is Cindy Kane, 28 hard years old. Her iridescent dress clings to her slender body. Her face is buried under a Technicolor avalanche of makeup. She is Cindy Kane, and she has a date with someone she has never met and may never meet again. Minutes have turned to timelessness, and a green Chevy 4-door pulls slowly around the corner. The driver's window rolls down. A voice comes from the shadow. "Are you working?" Cindy nods, regards him with vacant eyes. He beckons. She approaches the passenger's side, gets in, and the whole forlorn, unromantic ritual begins all over again, with another stranger. In the car, Cindy suggests a particular motel. The driver agrees. Once in the motel room, Cindy braces herself backward against the dresser. The stranger speaks. "$20? Cindy squints in the bright, incandescent light, cocks her head to one side. "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?" "I said $20. Is $20 all right?" He extends a folded $20 bill to Cindy. She takes the bill, and the reality behind the rendezvous is abruptly revealed. A closet door slams open. 2 police officers emerge from their hiding place. The mirror is on the door, and it is a two-way mirror. The mirror on the door is a two-way mirror. Cindy draws a compact semi-automatic from her purse. "You're under arrest," says Cindy Kane calmly, and rights are recited. For you see, sleazy Cindy Kane is a policewoman. No one ever expected Cindy Kane to become a policewoman. As a teenager, she was a quiet girl. Later, she became a part-time social worker at a Chicago youth shelter. Troubled youngsters, their families. But it was at the shelter that Cindy Kane became unsheltered. One of the youngsters in Cindy's care had come from Iowa to visit her aunt in the big city. At the Greyhound station, she was met by a pimp who got her away, got her on drugs, got her in the business. Missing for 2.5 months, the girl showed up at the shelter, beaten black and blue, and then Cindy knew there was something more she could do. So Cindy Kane became a policewoman. She subjected herself to life's steamy side for the sake of the countless nameless victims, like the little girl from Iowa. Cindy is a streetwalker decoy, a mock high-class call girl to bust rings run by low-life businessmen, a pretend prostitute housewife, to bait and drag drug dealers from their lairs. She's been threatened, beaten bloody, and come back for more, because Cindy Kane is not just a policewoman, she's a good policewoman. At one time, she was even given more than that. If the incongruity strikes you that a sweet young thing with a kind heart should be purposely professionally place herself among scum, then hear the whole truth about Cindy Kane. Just 6 years ago, at the age of 22, Cindy Kane was not Cindy Kane at all. Cindy was Sister Mary Anthony at Our Lady of the Good Shepherd Covenant, a Roman Catholic nun. And now you know the rest of the story.
Wow, isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That is unbelievable. You know what? You did a great job on that, Joe.
Thank you.
You know, tomorrow we're going to do the story that's by any other name. Too bad you won't be here to do that for us.
I won't.
Well, maybe we'll save it for next week sometime.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, Joey, you did a fantastic job today. It's been an interesting show. I thought the whole show was interesting. The lead information, while it can be a little dry and it can be a little, make you a little bit sleepy, the truth is it's very, very important, especially when in light of the fact that we have so many children today being exposed to that lead buildup and lead poisoning because of the ineffectual actions of legislators in Flint, Michigan, and all over the country.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? On my next show, John Matthews, Joe Hakels, and I are going to be talking about conservative politics on our semi-weekly simulcast. David Garrett will be here to talk about current events and the law, and I'm going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey with the rest of the story. Please tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. You'll be glad you did. I'll be glad you did. And they'll be glad you did. That's our show for today.
Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.